So this week's episode of Full Dive was less about the comedy, and honestly, there was more romantic tension than comedy, but for the most part, it was basically progressing the game mechanics. Our boy Hiro has a decent amount of time off from school, and instead of running, he's saying, hey, this is something I'm not going to turn my back from. It is a shitty game, but there is that addictive factor, and he has started to take his sister's words to heart, and decided that he will get through this. And as we get a kind of giant piece of information, that the worst title ever that he's had for so long actually bumps his odds of success from about a 0.1% to a 0.5. Nothing too crazy, but given how his life has been the epitome of unlucky, that's probably meaning that he'll hit that 0.5% threshold, though the training sequence we get in this episode is anything other than to give you hope for this man's future. The whole idea that we have a character who very much should be all about speed and mobility, agility, things like that, but given the routine that he's tasked at doing, he's basically thrown into a muscle head division where as soon as you see characters who are literally ripped like they could lift logs on their shoulders, you know damn well he's going to get absolutely annihilated. And I appreciate how there's definitely subtle clues before ultimately he gets his ass handed to him of being like, oh, clearly people are feeling like he has no muscle. And clearly he's not going to be that type of like, okay, the city guard, the captain, the trainer is underestimating the hero, so as the protagonist always will, he'll maybe get hit a couple of times, but he'll do this secret move and everyone will worship him. He'll have all the friends at the dinner table. He will have all of the pussy, but no, that is not what happens. He gets destroyed because this is a game about ultimate realism. And it's interesting because I did see some comments, I took a look, which normally I don't do, but this is an interesting beast where, similar to I kind of feel like with Combatants Will Be Dispatched, there's like an equal number of people shitting on it online as there are praising it. Personally for me, most of the comments I see surrounding this on my own channel are pretty positive, even if certain aspects like infuriate them. Seemingly people are enjoying it, so I like to sometimes with this show just take a gander, see what's going on outside the channel. And I saw some people like question like why doesn't he focus more on his speed, why is he trying to play it as like a musclehead, like a general warrior character? I mean, there's not much he could really do, right? Like sure, in the situation where like the one guard is like feeling and being like, huh, like are you a mercenary, are you like an assassin, you know, questioning because it does feel like something bad's happening there. Sure, he could have said, I'm actually not really that great at hand-to-hand combat, but I'm fast. Maybe that would have progressed him into a different branch. It's entirely possible. But given how years of playing video games are ingrained into his memory, it's muscle memory, right? And that's something that's hard to break away from. If this was the first time you ever played a video game, you probably would have a pretty hard time similar to someone who's played a shit ton of RPGs. But those who've maybe played a few of them might have a different experience saying like, you know, I'm actually not that strong. I kind of got roped in. Is there a different way I could train and be useful? Maybe that would branch off. But anyone who's played RPGs or are brand new to them would just assume, well, I mean, if I got recruited for this, it means I'm able to do so. It probably won't happen even in this season, and should we get a season 2, that's probably where his mentality will change a lot. Because playing so many video games over your life is naturally going to make you think that you are the hero because that is how literally every game is designed. And those that put you in situations like even Dark Souls as an example, that get your ass handed to you, you are given the tools to make a ridiculously powerful build, and you can change that build to be whatever you want. He just is kind of struggling because as soon as he catches his breath, something else happens. He has 5 days to train and goblins are going to attack, and that's when, you know, like he has nothing really to make him sit down and think, especially when his biggest companion goes from piss jokes to basically saying, I'll sleep with you, but how the hell would that even work in this game? Even though she was like legit saying, I'll just sleep in your bed, you know what she was getting at, right? So I think there definitely is a lot of criticism, and I think you can criticize Hiro for a lot of things, but I think his ideas of how to play a game, it's hard to break away from that formula. And sure, he is just a dense kid at times. He doesn't have a lot of self-confidence anymore. He's literally just started to like break away from the idea of running away, so you kind of have to put yourself in his shoes given everything that's happened. And I mean, the fact that even in his game, he has essentially the two same bullies. I mean, once again, it just felt like I was talking about last week how the city guard reminded me of his friend in the real world, and now we have these two characters who just like looked like dragons and serpents. Like their facial designs were just so evil bastard, like there's no way they weren't going to become scumbags. They remind me of the bullies as well. So it's interesting. I'm not sure if it'll be a direct correlation, like there actually is more human players than we realize, or if it is just supposed to signify that there's a lot of similarities to his real life to game. Time will tell, obviously. But I mean, it's going to be difficult for sure. I think he's on day 3 out of 5 right now, and he has no real support. He has this one girl, AI NPC, who's pretty much like training him, like that's the only information he's learned. And it's pretty difficult, right? And it'll be interesting to see because obviously agility and speed is what he needs to focus on, but given how the game is pushing him in that kind of like generic, you're the warrior, this is how you're going to be, and even if you're not the biggest muscle head, maybe speed will let you beat them, he has no real ability. Like, naturally with what we've seen of his character, a dagger type class is going to be what's for him. An assassin build, very quick, smoke bombs, knives, things like that, in and out. That's his skill, but the game hasn't really allowed him to give breathing room to kind of craft that build, right? The intro of the episode I actually thought was really good and well done. I love seeing the game manual and just like how there's literally so many ways to progress this game, and the fact that this game guide was made with such degree, like, hey, you're absolutely trash, but in the rare case that you got the best friend killer title, type in what the promise was, and you have all this extra information. It's really cool. Like, I love how detailed the manual is, and once the manual was introduced, the game guide was the entire reason I said I would want to play this game, and over the course of it, it just feels like Dark Souls cranked up to about 1 million, and honestly, there's an appeal to that. And the whole sister situation, nothing extraordinary. It kind of follows the cliche formula of, you know, the big brother trying to gain his little sister's trust once again. But I mean, given how much she used to worship the guy and how she does feel like he just runs away from everything and doesn't try anymore, I think it probably, like when she closed that door, she probably had a grin on her face. I actually thought that's exactly how they were going to direct it. She'd close the door, we'd see it from her perspective, and she would smile because she'd be proud that he started to do something. But still, there's progressions being made. It's slow but steady, but if you just rush through things, we would have that generic insert, here's your self-contained, you're the hero story. This is something that's supposed to break away from the tropes and trends while still using them in different ways, which is why I've liked things like The Cautious Hero, and this one I think is really good. I don't like it more than Cautious Hero or anything, but I do think it's a good story by itself, and I'd love to see a second season down the line. And personally, I've still been enjoying it through and through. It started off as a why the hell would you play this game to a yeah, this game's shit, but I mean, it's kind of addictive in its own unique way, so yeah, I'd want to play it. So let me know your thoughts and feelings down below in the episode. Where do you think the train's going to go with the last 2.5-ish days left? Do you think he's going to change his entire approach to combat, or do you think he's just going to hide in a hole like the game guide said in last week's episode? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.